New York was the second largest slave-owning state in the nation. The second largest. South Carolina was the first. I thought once you came north, you were free, but we were not free. And there's no museums to commemorate what our people had to go through. Blacks, white women, any freedom seeker went through these streets. Everybody went through these streets, and the city knows it. I don't understand why we can't have a little piece of history when everybody else has so much.
Slave owners and bounty hunters had the right to literally kidnap anyone off of the street who was a person of color. Of course, you had people who definitely were against that. They were, in fact, considered criminals, and that was the abolitionists.
New York City was very much a pro-slavery city, so much so that Fernando Wood, the mayor of New York, wanted New York City to secede from the Union so he could continue the slave trade with the South. It was not very popular to be anti-slavery. Brooklyn was a separate city at that point from New York, and there was more sympathy for African Americans in Brooklyn, but not that much. The main paper, you can still look at the Brooklyn Eagle, you can find it online, was a Brooklyn Democratic Eagle. It was a pro-slavery paper. Walt Whitman was fired as the editor of the Brooklyn Eagle because of his anti-slavery views. So he was anti-slavery, suffered for it. He hated the abolitionists. Abolitionists for him were like these wacky nut jobs who, people, they were just widely reviled to be abolitionists.
There's not a lot of documentation regarding the Underground Railroad because it had to remain secret, hence underground. In the case of my mom's home and the homes on Duffield Street, it was physically underground. My mom's home is actually part of a group of homes on Duffield Street that were connected through the tunnels, through the holes in each basement, which lead as far up as near Bridge Street Church.
This is one of those parts of the building that the external entrance to the building, and if you look over there, you can look down there into the shaft.
Because of that, those rows of homes, including my mom's, were saved from eminent domain. If you go to Fulton and Duffield, you will see the name Abolitionist Place right along with Duffield Street. So that is what we call our movement, 227 Abolitionist Place. My mom, Joyce Chatel, acquired the home through marriage. Her husband would occasionally mention that he was told that there were abolitionists who lived in the home. She, kept that in the back of her head.
The Truesdales, who were the abolitionists who lived there until the late 19th century. So there was not a big gap between when the Truesdales left and Joy's husband moved in. Joy lived there for a number of decades. About 2003, 2004, she gets a note taped to the door saying that the building is condemned. The city's plan was to demolish the home and to turn it into a underground parking lot and micro park.
She refused to accept that. She chose to fight to keep her home because she was raising 5 grandchildren. She had her business there. It was her livelihood. She discovered who the abolitionists were, which were Thomas and Harriet Lee Truesdale. She decided to go public with the information while she was fighting the city to keep her home. And that's where it all kind of steamrolled into getting, the recognition and acknowledgement.
One of the important points about 227 was that it was connected by an underground passageway to the other buildings there. And now all of those other buildings have been demolished. So the only one left standing is 227 Abolitionist Place. This history is being completely obliterated before our eyes. So saving this one bit is really important.
I challenge the city. You prove without a doubt that it's not a site for the Underground Railroad. Prove without a doubt that no abolitionists live there. Why did you codename the street Abolitionist Place? Come on.
I immediately liked Joy. She was very special. She had a lot of spunk. She, if that even sums it up, she's a woman of tremendous spirit, I would say, even today after she's passed.
Joy, you know, they said she had an appropriate name, Joy, because she was joyful, but she was a bad sister. I liked her militancy.
Joy is a success story. She showed us that if you fight and if you organize and you come together, you do have the power to shape your communities.
When Joy stood up against the city, when they wanted to take her home, she did our children and our children's children a great service.
She was a fierce crusader in the spirit of Sojourner Truth.
We are working to turn 227 Abolitionist Place into a museum of Brooklyn abolitionist history.
We're fighting to keep the home within the family. It is our mission, our goal, to create the museum, create the Heritage Center, Cultural Arts Center.
Museums, art spaces, galleries, and history are so very close to my heart. And I am going to work with each and every one of you in this room to make sure that Joy's legacy lives on. But I want to share this with you. Running a not-for-profit organization for 14 years, it requires the support of your elected officials and the financial support of your community.
You have to realize one thing. This is our last standing monument. We need to keep our legacy alive.
Yes. Thank you.